You know that Obama thing where he like...
Oh, that thing.
Yeah, where he gave all the guns.
That's right.
They lost all those guns. And
some of them were used to kill people.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. Like
what was that? What was the logic behind that? They were going to trace them to...
Yeah, it's like an Iran-Contra... Did you see that movie, by the way?
Was it a scam, or was it a thing where they were trying to give them guns that they could trace?
They could trace, and then they instantly couldn't trace them, and it just gave a lot of guns. I think that was the gist of it.
Can you imagine if that was just really a gun? I mean, some people do think it was like just an illegal arms sale that happened right under our nose.
Yeah. Well,
can you imagine if that's really what it is?
I mean, did you watch that? I just watched it the other night. That Tom Cruise movie, American Made.
No, I did not, but I know what it's about.
I know
the
first good Tom Cruise movie he's had out, I think, in a couple years. Like
really?
Yeah, because he's like kind of a dark character. He's not like a hero. He's just.
I know the Barry Seal story.
Yeah, it's what this story is. So he's a pilot who basically like, the CIA was like, hey, you're a really good pilot, and we need a guy to like bring some guns to the. It's all the precursor of the Iran-Contra thing, which as a kid I remember hearing all about, but then understanding it at a better level, which was us trying to arm rebels, which we've been doing we armed Bin Laden against the Russians. We've been arming rebels for a long time.
Yeah, that's our move, right?
Yeah, big time. And
up the gang.
Yeah, and then so he became the dude the CIA asked to do that, and he was like, you got to pay me more money, and the guy was like, you'll figure it out, and then all of a sudden it became he would land to bring the guns, and the dudes were like, hey, we want you to bring Escobar and his crew, were like Pablo Escobar, were like, hey, as long as you're bringing us guns, we also want you on your flight home to bring 1,500 pounds of cocaine into your airplane. And then he was like, I'm not going to do that, no thanks. And they were like, 2,000 $2,000 a kilo. And he was like, how many kilos in 1,500 pounds? And it became like... And he became like this insane two-way smuggler, smuggling guns in and drugs out, guns in and drugs out. It's a really interesting story.
What do you think happens today? Do you think that stuff like that is still going on today? Or do you think that when it happened, like they figured out that it was a bunch of cowboys, like CIA operatives, that were just trying to make some money on the side? Or do you think it's like a systematic...
I think that it's like, I think that it's human error. I think that like people... That's why I'm not like a big conspiracy theorist, because it's like, I don't think the government's organized enough.
Right.
It's always weird to me when people who think the government sucks, who want small government, they want the government. The government mishandles everything. They don't know how to do this. They don't know how to do this. They can't manage traffic lights. Whatever they think the government can't do. They can't do healthcare. They're idiots. They're idiots. Private sector. And then they're like, but there's a giant government conspiracy where all the government knows this thing. And I'm like, if they can't fucking manage traffic lights, how are they pulling off like a fake moon landing or whatever? It's like,
well,
that kind of stuff to me, it's like you're perpetuating two very different views of an extremely competent, clandestine group of people who can achieve these like dark, shadowy things without anyone knowing, or bumbling morons. But they're the same people. They're government workers. So I don't know. I think some CIA, like the story behind going into Iraq is interesting. Like a CIA operative had a theory about where Bin Laden, not Osama, the fucking other dude,
Saddam
Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. He had a theory, and he was a analyst at the CIA, and he wrote up this whole document, and they read it, and they were like, yeah, this is bullshit. Like, we have no proof of any of this, thank you. And he was so mad they did that he published it on the internet. Just leaked it to the internet. And then that story got on the internet, and then a dude in Australia who was a spy, or like a guy from Australia, and another guy from Afghanistan or Iraq, read it on the internet, came to America and said, I have all the secrets of what he's doing. And he just used that guy's document that he read online and told the CIA. And then the guy came in and goes, he has weapons here, weapons here, weapons here. And then that analyst goes, holy shit, I was right. Meanwhile, he's quoting his own report. So then he goes back to Cheney and he goes, we've got this dude talking to the Germans saying all the things I theorized. And then that's the guy Curveball. We listened to a dude named Curveball. So like, that's how the whole fucking thing went down. And basically, some dude tricked us. He actually didn't know anything, but it was too late. We like went off the information that a dude read off the internet from a guy who was mad they wouldn't take his info, which was wrong, which is why there were no weapons of mass destruction there.
That is so crazy.
So it's just a crazy. So yeah, I think that shit happens all the time, but I don't think I just think they're sloppy government employees.
Well, I think you're dealing with a bunch of different things. Some of them are sloppy government employees. Some of them are not. Some of them are brilliant. I mean, there's that too.
Like Robert Mueller is brilliant.
There's a ton of them. There's a ton of them that are brilliant. But you're also going to have cowboys. And this is what I think. When you find out about these like CIA drug deals gone bad, where did you see that one where the plane crashed in Mexico? They wouldn't let them refuel. They wouldn't let them land to refuel because they kind of knew maybe that they were smuggling drugs.
And they made him crash.
And the plane wound up crashing. And it had, how many tons of cocaine did it have in it? And people are like, this is proof the CIA sells cocaine. I'm like, no, it's proof those guys flying that plane had cocaine.
Right.
The real question is, did they just get too loosey-goosey traveling back and forth to South America, a little too tight with some people that had a little bit too much money, and they realized we could fucking do this, so we could do this and no one would suspect it.
Well, that's the thing, though. So what the CIA...
5.5 tons of cocaine.
Jesus Christ.
5.5 tons.
Wow. That's a lot.
Isn't that 11 pounds? 11, how many thousand pounds? 11,000?
Yeah. 2,000 times 5.5.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
And
11,000 pounds. Of fucking cocaine.
Dude, I tell you.
It's insane. But show the pictures of the crash because it's crazy. There's
nuts.
just
When
giant
was this?
bricks of coke. Man, I want to say like 2005?
2006.
6.
But the Barry Seal story was he's just a pilot. So a
Yes.
CIA operative who's trying to make connections with do his mission, which is given to him, which is arm these rebels. So 5 guys in the CIA have to try to figure out how to arm rebels. So he approaches this pilot that he hears is a good pilot who flies for TWA.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, man, you're now in the CIA. But he's not really in the CIA. He's not part of the CIA. He's just a pilot that this guy subcontracts.
Right.
And then he doesn't tell the bosses how he's getting the guns in. So he just made up a little thing. He has his own budget to do his own little thing, and he
Holy
finds this
shit.
dude. So it's not like Barry Seal was like a CIA guy flying cocaine. He was just a pilot that the CIA told, and only one guy from the CIA told it to him. And then it's a crazy story, you know. And then he's doing it, and then he starts making his little side business. And this guy looks the other way because he just wants Barry delivering the guns. And then after a while, like as it starts to fall apart, the CIA is just like, burn everything with Barry Seal's name on it. You know, and like we've never had connection to Barry Seal in our entire life, and that's
all the coke that they got off that plane. Look
that's
at that.
nuts, man. That's
That
a
looks
big,
like
what size was that plane?
luggage for an army, doesn't it? Like if you had an army troop and like, boys, this is your gear, and it's all rolled up in these giant bags.
Isn't it so funny though that like
That is crazy.
people still think a wall's gonna work? It's like how many drugs were coming in on an airplane?
Well, just the fact that the airplane was a CIA airplane. Did they have in the movie? Did they have the reason why they the whole scheme got busted in the first place? Do you know the story?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like a spoiler for listeners, but I'll tell you.
Well, the real story about the kids that were murdered.
The kids that were murdered where?
That wasn't in the movie.
I don't think so.
One of the ways this whole thing came apart was 2 kids were apparently in the woods when they made a drop. And these kids saw a drop,
yeah.
and they were murdered, and they were stabbed, and then they left their bodies on the train tracks. And their bodies were run over by train tracks, and then the parents got an autopsy. And the autopsy showed that at least one of the kids had been stabbed.
Wow.
And so
No,
they
they skipped
realized
that. They had-
something.
yeah.
They realized something had happened.
Was it
So
New
they-
Orleans where the kids got killed?
No, it was Mena, Arkansas.
Okay. Oh, that's the Mena part of it.
Yeah,
later
yeah.
on.
That's where the drop was. The drop was apparently in Mena, Arkansas. And so they killed these kids, and then this whole thing happened, and then the whole thing fell apart, and then people started looking into it, and then Barry Seals was murdered actually as he was heading to court to testify.
Well, he
This is his amazing thriller, like a Tom Clancy novel.
yeah, it's a really good, and it's done well. The movie's done well, and but they don't mention the murdered kids. They skip like Mena, Arkansas is the place where CIA moves them, and then
Well, I hope I'm not remembering this wrong, but I think that was the reason why they got busted.
I could be. I'm saying in the movie that's not mentioned.
See
but
if they-
like
you can
that's the
find
creative
that.
license of making a movie. They're like,
Oh man, I hate when they do that.
Yeah.
I hate when they do that when it's a real life situation. Like there's did you ever see that wrestling movie with Steve Carell? What the fuck was that called?
the wrestler.
No. With Steve Carell and
Steve. What he's the DuPont guy.
Yeah, John DuPont.
Oh fuck! What's the name of that movie?
Foxcatcher.
Wow. Never would have gotten that.
Yeah, they did that in that movie.
Where they cut out key details.
Yeah, well, they changed a big part of the ending where Mark Schultz, it's a UFC fight, a famous UFC fight, where Mark Schultz, who was just top of the food chain wrestler, fought this guy Big Daddy Goodrich, who's a really well-known MMA guy, just totally dominated him.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, he's fighting some white guy,
They just
like some made-up guy.
they just changed it.
They just changed
Did
the
they
guy.
maybe not get the rights to the other guy's name or something?
It doesn't matter. Then don't have that
Then
scene.
just take it out.
I know what the fuck the history of this
Yeah.
was. Now, if you lied to me about something so insignificant as who the guy was that he fought in the UFC,
Yeah, he takes
what
you out
else?
of it. Yeah.
What else are you lying about?
Agreed. But
It's just so stupid to do. It's a real story.